or to inform the person that comes on as a designer, the landscape architect or whoever they contract out for or with. So I just wanted to make that kind of general statement that the letters are not typically detailed. They are general support letters for bringing additional resources and funds, and there is usually a public input process that gets followed. If anybody has any questions, I appreciate everyone responding to that request in between meetings. This happened after our January meeting and before the February meeting was going to happen. The deadline was very quick turnaround. Oh, I see a lot of other people. I got to update minutes for you, Josh. Any other questions or comments? So then I would just ask if someone could make a motion to endorse the officially recognize and confirm that a letter of support was provided for inclusion with a proposal to bring funding for Joyce Kilmer Park renovations.
Yes, we did. So I would motion to vote. I mean, I don't know. You want a motion to approve it? We've sent it though. Motion
to acknowledge.
I'll motion to acknowledge and confirm that that was sent on ours and the Environmental Commission's behalf.
Second, anyone?
I seconded.
Zoltan. Okay.
Thank you,
Everyone
Zoltan.
want to just recognize that?
Yeah, I could just, if anybody has any comments about that, anything they'd like to say, just let me know so we can add that to the minutes as well. And then I'm trying to see here. Oh, yeah. So Charlie's here. If you wouldn't mind, Charlie, sending us the link to the YouTube channel. I know we get to, put these on publicly, and it would be nice that way. We can send it to our friends and family or any other interested citizens so they could watch these meetings live without necessarily having to join.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you.
Yeah,
so
I do think.
Put
can
an
I
email
just
address
add to
in the
that,
chat.
Charlie?
Yeah.
We have had one or two guests contact us after a meeting to say that they were not aware that they were being broadcast, and they felt that we should be letting them know that. So we're gonna try to do that from now on as a courtesy to members of the public. It is a public meeting, we know that, but we'd like to be transparent with people that join who may not be aware and may be doing it as students who were assigned to do something as a class.
Yeah, sure. And if I may make a suggestion, I think you should just use the Zoom record feature, and then that puts everybody on notice that it's recording the meeting, and then you'll have a proper recording.
Yes, I will try to set something up. We have a Zoom account. It's a Zoom for Government account, so it works a little bit differently than standard Zoom. I'm actually in it now, but I will absolutely look into that feature and see if we can't do that. It would be helpful for posterity as well.
May I ask if my mic is working? This is Glenn.
It is, Glenn. Yes.
Oh, I had the devil of a time trying to get it to work. I'm sorry. I endorse the letter. There you go. I could not get it to work.
Thank you, Glenn. Did I get everybody? Did we have, I think it was Josh and Clara were the only other voting members.
Oh, and I see a message, by the way, from the public here saying, I'm curious if the meeting started at 6:30 or 6:15. So we voted last time that meetings are to start actually at 6 p.m. We did not actually reach a quorum anyway until around 6:15, which was the official Zoom start time on the link. But the city's website has actually yet to be updated to the 6 p.m. time. So just for future reference, meetings will begin at 6 p.m., assuming there's no technical difficulties at the time. And from now on, on the second Tuesday of every month, I believe, except for November it is, or well, there's 1 month, but that schedule is also on the website. There's only 1 month where it's not the second Tuesday, but that's generally what we do for the public.
And we are now in the heart of the agenda. There was really very little.
Right. Just like roll
Discussion.
call and minutes approval, there was nothing really until this time anyway. So you haven't missed pretty much anything at all. Next point I'd like to bring up is the letters and suggestions, future process ideas. So I'm trying my best as chair. I don't know if I'll be able to do quite a good job as Charles, but I'm going to try my best to, help us stay organized, create some process tools that, will help us get more work done, but also help us make a bigger impact in the city. We are pretty much the gateway to the public for matters on, I guess the parks and gardens in New Brunswick in general. I believe we're actually also technically, I don't want to say responsible for, but we definitely have a role in the Open Spaces Trust, if I'm not mistaken. And so I think it'd be great if we could have more people attending these meetings and get a lot more input from the public. So if anybody has any ideas, just a general overview, we can talk more offline, but on ways that we can get the community more involved, any tools we can make, processes, I don't mind working on those in the, in the time in between our meetings.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Well, if you have anything you want to ask me, talk to me about, any ideas, recommendations for how we can, communicate the community's needs better, please just send me an email. I think a lot of you have my phone number as well. You can send me a message or give me a call. I don't mind at all. Okay, I wanted to come to this part, second comment letter for modifications to the Joyce Kilmer Park Plan. So I've spoken with Josh Best, and I think he has some professional advice for modifications to the park, and I think other members of the community might as well. So I was thinking that if it's okay with everybody, that we may draft a second letter that we would endorse and send to the city to make recommendations for a few modifications to the current Joyce Kilmer Park Plan. For those of you who are not familiar, the city should be receiving some funding to upgrade, modify that park and to make it, so it better serves the community. And they have not necessarily finalized the plans for any of the construction or what's going to be built, but a general plan was presented at City Hall, I believe, 2 Tuesdays ago now, if I have that right. And, they have actually asked for public comments. They had a link go out where people from the public could fill out a Google form with any suggestions. But, I did speak with Josh, and we have some ideas for some really important modifications that we'd like to send. So if anybody's against sending that letter or has any other ideas, please let me know. But that is the current plan as of now.
I want to just clarify. You're saying, Josh, that we'll be sending a letter with some specific suggestions as a advisory to the city.
Just as an
regarding the
advisory,
project.
Ultimately, the decision is still
In the
technically the city's.
in the public
Right.
forum.
In a
Okay.
right. We are going to just send this as a group. If anybody has any ideas for modifications themselves, I know me and Josh B, we talked offline, and we had some. Josh B had some, I think, very professional, very good advice for some modifications. Obviously, he has a lot of expertise in this field, which I don't think should be ignored. Should definitely be taken into account. So if anybody, has an issue with the support, just let me know. But I think that, it'd be a great idea for us to contribute to the city a little bit more.
So the letter would be a commission letter as opposed to individual comments and suggestions via the survey,
Right.
correct?
It may have, and yes, it could have comments from, let's say if you had any of your own. I might have some of my own. Denise might have some of her, et cetera, et cetera. But we will sign it as a commission unless
Good.
anybody has any issue with that.
No.
I don't mind hearing that, but I think
No,
in general it should be okay.
No, I wasn't implying that. I just wanted to be clear.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's correct, 100%.
Josh,
Sounds good.
could I ask that we look at the letter and then revisit at the next meeting how it will be conveyed, only because we did provide a letter for the proposal. And I just want to make sure that it's not outside of what went in officially. So we just have to think about the language to make sure that our comments are heard. And it's an advisory, or we'll have to think of language, but let's look at a draft
Right.
and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I don't mind having a look at the letter at next meeting and sending it out then, unless anybody else has any other ideas on the timeline for that. But if
No,
we
I
could
think
start
that makes
drafting it
sense.
sooner, makes
I think
sense,
it
right?
Sure.
Makes sense.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
makes a lot of sense.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other comments there. I did have a note here in the agenda about a parks feedback system. I know that the parks already do have some type of system for, if you go to a park and you see something's wrong, you can pretty much message in about that. But, in case anybody else had any other ideas they'd like to share, you might not have any right now, but again, you can send me an email. I do want to try to work, with you guys as much as possible to, improve the channels of communication between the public and us and the city. So if anybody has any ideas or any things they'd like to see, speak now, email me.
Yeah, this is Ruth. I have had some decent success using the Reportlet app. So I know you can select which department it goes to. So I don't know if there are differences in response based on which department you're directing the report to. But yeah, I'm not sure. It's been a while, I think, since that was publicized. So I'm not sure if people are aware that that's a tool that can be used.
That's a really good point. I think when there is an existing channel, we have to be very sensitive to using those procedures and those channels. And I've heard really good things about Report It. Len, I think you might have good experience or familiarity with that.
Yeah, I
what-
use Report It quite a bit, and I will say that it goes to the city, and when you have, I think, one is garbage and debris, one is recycling, one is I forget, and then the other is other. And when you select it, it goes to, I believe it's Susan Malika, if I'm not, Denise, do you know? I think it's Susan Malika gets those. If it's not directed to a specific department, like,
Right.
sanitation
I think it might
inspection,
be, yeah.
or recycling coordinator or something like that. I think that there is a person in the administration that filters those and sends them to the appropriate department. So if you were to submit something to Report It, it would either go to someone in the administration, like, for example, Sal, who's responsible for maintaining the parks and upkeep of the street trees and things like that in the gardens. But if it was something else, they would determine where best to send it. And if it was appropriate to end up in our purview, I'm sure, hopefully Josh, we should check on that mechanism, but hopefully Josh, it would end up in our bucket, right? I don't think we've ever encountered that situation yet.
No, we hadn't. I would like to, at a future meeting, maybe discuss more ways that we can get the public involved in our meetings and what we do. Just so I think it's, we're pretty much a good way for the community to get more involved. And there's, maybe some other things that we can do. But yeah, I definitely brainstorm and talk about that at a future meeting.
Yep.
I'll have to include that on a future meeting's agenda.
Yeah, I would say though, currently they probably are handled by the administration within one of the departments in the administration. So if you were to submit something regarding parks, it would go to Sal's department, the park supervisor. Yeah, so that's my
I
guess.
believe you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. I am moving to the next bit. I just wanted to briefly bring up Sustainable New Jersey. I know that Denise has talked about it with Zoltan and I, but it is something I think that we should try to get a little bit more involved in. I know that the city will obviously have some part in that, but Denise, would you mind maybe just briefly explaining what Sustainable New Jersey is and maybe some ideas on how we can help / get involved?
I can do that, and then I'm going to invite Glenn to pitch in because he's also on our city's green team, which is a key component of Sustainable Jersey, and as well as Erin. Sustainable Jersey is a statewide initiative. Municipalities are able to indicate their interest in securing certification as a Sustainable Jersey city. There are 2 levels. I believe it's bronze and silver, and then there are certain actions that that bring gold, gold, uh, gold medals or something like that. It's a lot of data entry into the Sustainable Jersey app that requires documentation to get the points. It's a point system. And the green team, which is a mandatory component, kind of coordinates efforts under a variety of categories. So there are energy and stormwater and arts and animals and a lot of things that contribute to a municipality's interest in having a sustainable future for the city. So New Brunswick has held that in the past. It lapsed during COVID, and we will be reapplying in New Brunswick. We have there's a program for schools to be Sustainable Jersey certified, and we're very proud that all of the schools in the city of New Brunswick are certified. So we want the city as well as all of our schools to be in that category. Glenn, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I just explain a little bit about the way it works. So you can go to the Sustainable Jersey website and you'll see a bunch of actions that you can take to implement projects that will make your municipality more sustainable. And as Denise mentioned, there are a number of these types of actions. A lot of them have to do with like recycling programs, and as Denise said, community outreach, arts, but there are also some hardcore things in sustainability regarding climate action and things like that. So basically, we undertake projects within the city that help us not only meet those goals, but make the city more sustainable. And then we produce a report to Sustainable Jersey that they evaluate and give us credit, or there are minor, well, I wouldn't say minor. I think anything's important, but there is some grant money associated with some of those. Of course, you have to be approved by Sustainable Jersey, but predominantly it's for the credit of becoming a Sustainable Jersey municipality and then getting your grade, either bronze, silver, or gold. There are a few golds actually in New Jersey, I think. At least I know Woodbridge is a gold. So was. So anyway, like Denise said, we're back on track with that. We just started the green team. We had our first meeting. We discussed how we're going to approach it, who's going to take what categories that within the Sustainable Jersey Action Program. And then we're going to be having an upcoming meeting soon to discuss and decide how we're going to implement some of these goals that we have. So that's what I would say. And that's all I have to say.
Okay. Do you think there's any way that any of, I guess, the rest of us on the commission could help participate to work on this project?
I think that we can individually or in small groups or even as a commission. I think it's a little early in the process. What we did on the green, I can give a quick update. The green team went through the pointing system, as Glenn mentioned, and we divvied up categories for each of our green team members to look at. So when we come back to the green team, we may decide that there could be outreach to the Environmental Commission or to the Parks and Gardens Commission or to the schools or to New Brunswick City Market for businesses, on things like food, takeout food equipment, or materials. So I think there will be opportunities, but it's a little premature at this point.
Denise, can I just add one quick thing, Josh, to that? It is a group of some subject matter experts, some residents, but there's also the administration involved, and the administration, Brandon in particular, is managing it, and Brandon is the chair. So we really want to work with and go with the administration on what we would do and how we would participate as a commission or individual members of the community.
Would the two of you mind reaching out to the administration and their team and seeing how we might assist them?
Bring it up at the next meeting, right, Denise?
We're doing that at the meeting. I mentioned
Yeah.
our commissions during the meetings. So yes, absolutely, we'll do that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Let's see. I'm looking here. Are there any on the next bit here? Are there any communications and reports updated as of this meeting that we haven't talked about?
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything.
No. Okay. And all right. So I will do public comments in a second. I just wanted to see. I have one action item for me. If anybody needs any help with anything, let me know. I think we have some stuff in the minutes, but I'm going to develop some action items. I'll probably send out some emails over the next couple of days to individuals in the group. I've already talked about obviously setting up something for the community gardens with Sal, Zoltan, and I. If anybody else would like to get involved with that, just send me an email and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But with that, I think we've covered the agenda.
Can I, before we get to public comments, I'm sorry, Josh.
No, of course, no problem.
You mentioned that you and Josh were having offline conversations regarding Joyce Kilmer. Is that correct?
Yes, after attending the city hall meeting, Josh had some very good ideas, I think, very important ideas that I thought we might want to get across to the city, because they did actually say they were open to making modifications and suggestions from the public.
Yeah. Would you mind if I joined in on that? I would love to. I'm a tree guy, and Josh brought up trees.
Why don't we make a group chat via email?
Great. That would be fantastic.
Or via Google Chat. I'm open to either with the three of us. We can definitely. If you want to make that and send me an invite, I'd appreciate it.
I honestly have never. Denise can testify to this. I did IT for 20 years, but not this type of IT. With
you gave me the idea for the Google group, which
I did.
Work very nicely.
You're right. Guilty as charged. If you want me to figure it out, I will. But if you,
it's okay. I can just send. I can just send a message. Don't worry.
I appreciate that.
I think I know what to do.
But I would love to, join in on you guys. That would be great.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, then I appreciate you wanted to get involved as well. Yeah, and hopefully we can meet about that and get something drafted sooner rather than later. So we'll bare minimum have a draft that's mostly ready to go by next meeting, and then we can get a meeting-wide signature of approval or vote of approval, and then we can send that out right after that meeting immediately.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. All right. With that, I think it's okay, unless anybody else has anything to say. We move to public comments. I'm like scrolling across everybody's photo to see if they've unmuted their mic or any hands raised. Okay, we look good. Does the public have any comments to make? Any suggestions, advice for us? Community insights?
Yeah, hi, Charlie Cradville. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, good evening. Yeah, just wanted to chime in to add that, I also was expecting the meeting to start at 6:30. I must have missed the decision to change it. And yeah, I would just say it's really important that the website reflect the proper information to join, including time, and the link worked fine. But yeah, that's why I was not here at the start of the meeting, and why we don't have a complete recording of tonight's call. So would just ask that in the future the city have the correct information available to everybody to join the meetings.
Right.
I'll make sure that happens, Charlie, and I apologize for that. I think that was a communication issue with me. So I do apologize.
No, yeah, thank you for letting us know, Charlie. We had 6:30 on the website. The Zoom meeting itself was 6:15, and we had voted on 6. And I think the issue was just that the city has just switched over from the previous meeting platform to Zoom for Government, and Zoom for Government actually has quite a few restrictions that are not even in a normal Zoom. So we've just been working with the IT department to get that up, and then. So getting that link edited, I might be able to do it myself. I'm going to try that right after this meeting. But yes, I agree. We definitely have to get this start time fixed. It will be 6 p.m. just for future reference. And we're going to get that on the site, hopefully within the next week or two.
I'm doing it right now.
Perfect. I guess that covers, I see we have some other members of the community. If you have anything to say.
This is Ruth. I have a question. Is there a timeline or an update regarding Baker Park?
Baker Park.
I believe the city got the grant for renovations, and part of the demolition work was completed or partially completed, but I'm not sure when construction will start or when it's expected to be completed.
Why don't we ask Sal is not with us tonight. He's on the commission. He would know that. Why don't we either follow up with Sal or ask him to be prepared at the March meeting to give us a brief update on any projects that are happening. I think we're all interested in Nielsen as well. I was down at Nielsen last week and took some photographs, and it's moving very quickly, and it's very exciting. I talked to a couple of people that were standing nearby, so people are looking forward to that.
I've actually added that to the meeting agenda for March, so we'll definitely be speaking about that at the next meeting. We'll get you an update, and the public as well, of course. I'm just looking. I'm scrolling back and forth here just to see if anybody's been unmuting.
Briar has a great name. I love that name. That's a great name.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you.
Briar.
Yes, welcome, Briar,
Okay.
to our meeting. I don't think we've seen you online before, but I could be
I don't
wrong.
think so either. I'm pretty sure this is my first time unless I'm a amnesiac. But
Welcome.
is it okay if I make a quick public comment?
Absolutely, of course.
Okay, I was just so I'm part of Central Jersey Democratic Socialists of America's Warmth for All campaign, kind of sort of, and we're trying to get greater, I guess, protections and living conditions for unhoused folks in and around New Brunswick. And I just want to, and some of my friends were in communication with Keith Jones II about the bathrooms in the park always being locked, and he kind of bounced the issue to you folks. So I just wanted to know if there was any way we could get those bathrooms, I guess maybe functional is not the right word, but accessible, or at least open, and that sort of thing. I know there's issues with upkeep and stuff when people are actually using them, but I just wanted to start that conversation if I could.
Hi, Briar. This is Denise. We actually have had this on our agenda at previous meetings. And there are some logistic issues that come up related to, as you mentioned, upkeep, security, coverage. And having staff who can unlock and lock on premises. And we've asked the city to, if there are times that the bathrooms or the facilities are open, could we be better at publicizing when they will be and when somebody will be there to supervise them? In some parks, we have put in porta potties because they can be serviced independent of having a staff person there. So that is a solution in some parks. I'd be interested if you have any feedback on the difference between the porta potties, which are very functional, and the more permanent structures, one way or the other.
I'm not a porta potty expert by any means, so I would have to think about that a little bit. I think if we have like the permanent structures, I don't I mean, I understand the logistics issues, but I also think that like if we're not going to have them open at any point during an average day, like I don't know why we have them sort of thing. Not to be like hostile or anything, that's just like my thought process, so to speak. Like if we have the toilets existing on premises, I think they should be usable. Um, at least I guess like if you to your point, like maybe not like 24/7 unlimited access but if that's not like a feasible thing, but like at least like some of them, unlike at minimum, like I don't know like what the most important hours for like access would be, but just something. Yeah.
Excuse me if I could jump in here. This is Josh Best. Brian, nice to meet you. Thanks for calling in. Can you hear me all right? My microphone's a little bit off tonight.
I can make you out. Thank you.
Okay. So I just wanted to clarify, just sort of so we're not, I guess, going around in circles on this sometimes, but I have asked or sort of asked for information about this at some point in the past as well. Could you clarify I guess, what context you've already made inquiries, and then who it was that sort of directed you in our direction? You're welcome. I mean, not saying at all that you shouldn't be here. This is great. Appreciate the conversation, but just so that I can understand
Okay, so
who made the direction that this was a good place to ask about it as well.
yeah, so I guess I have a transcript, I would call it, of a conversation or of a text conversation a friend of mine had with Keith Jones II, who I think is like the I forget his exact title, something human services coordinator of New Brunswick, and he said let me see if I can pull it up.
Yeah, if
As
you
it
don't mind,
relates,
I just, like I said, I'd just be helpful to know so that we're not going back and asking the same people a question that
right,
you've
yeah.
already asked them and they've told us to figure it out. So just if you could clarify that, that would be great.
Yeah, so that would be Keith Jones II. He said, as it relates to park bathrooms, my department does not manage or oversee the park's personnel or facilities. And then what I can say is that bathrooms in our parks have always been a challenge if unmanned and so on and so forth. It's an ongoing issue that parks my department and other partners have and continue to try to fix. But you know, I just want to make sure that we're prioritizing public sanitation and that like people without housing have to go somewhere, and there's not a lot of places other than parks that have like public restrooms that are actually public and you don't have to buy anything.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Your point is well taken. Like I said, my question was more just if you could, I was just trying to understand, like I said, we're not, most or all of us are also not, city government employees.
Mhm.
And so, like I said, just as we broach the topic as well, it's just helpful to know, who you've been in contact with and what the nature of their response is. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you.
Yes, we have had basically similar questions over the past year while we had reviewed the parks to this. And essentially, yes, there was staff coverage issues I believe there was also some damage in some of the bathrooms as well, if I remember correctly. And there were just concerns over a budget for repairs to those. But yeah.
And safety. I'm sorry, Josh, and safety and security. To make sure that there was at least someone who could go back and forth because it's a very sheltered area. Most of them are sheltered, and we wanted to make sure. So we should follow up, and we can circle back.
Could I ask
Yeah.
a question too? Because I've also had similar conversations because, I have young children and we go to the park. It's really frustrating to not have facilities available. But I'm just wondering, maybe for future conversations, I think it would help me to have a better understanding, like who are the staff personnel. I know we also have the park rangers, like what hours do they work? Like what are kind of their job um, descriptions, like for both those roles, and like as a commission, I think that would help us like address some of these questions better, or know what suggestions to bring to the city, because like I currently don't really know. um i've I've asked Keith Jones the same thing, like we have park rangers, why don't they
Everyone
have
knows Keith Jones. apparently.
Yes.
I think that's a good point. I guess I want to just make sure that everyone is cognizant of the fact that the city is responsible for administration and we are advisory. So we can certainly advocate, we can research, we can ask questions, we can get back to the city. But ultimately, the city has to make the decisions about what's best for the overall. So as an example, Briar, you mentioned at night, the parks are closed after dark. I believe an hour after
Yeah, it's an
dusk.
hour, right?
An hour after dusk. So it's not something that would be accessible if it's in a park, because the parks are closed by ordinance. So there is some overlapping kind of
Responsibility.
regulations that we would have to be able to be clear about. So we'll do a little more research into it.
And Ruth, I would say regarding staff, I believe the staff are listed on the city's website.
right,
So,
but I'm not sure it's listed like what hours they work, or what is
oh,
within
yeah,
their
that,
job, like what is within their role. Like for
right.
example, the city hosted like an event at the recreation park that was open to the public, and during that time there was no bathroom access available, even though there's a pretty nice bathroom facility at the park. And so I remember asking a couple of people, um, if we could use the bathroom, but no one seemed to know who had access to the bathrooms, or who had keys, or who could make the decision regarding whether the bathrooms could be open or not. So I think
Those
just
were
clarifying some of that basic information would be helpful, just so that it's known.
those were park staff that had no idea.
Well, Keith was there. I think a park
Oh,
ranger. There were at least 2 park rangers
poor
there.
Keith.
Right.
Yeah, there was a park ranger and Keith were both there, and the bathroom never got unlocked. So that was my understanding as well.
Okay.
So
I think my recollection is that when we discussed this at a prior meeting, if there is a permit for use of the park, that is something that gets coordinated when the permit is being issued. If staff has to be made available, I believe it may even be a fee if it's on a weekend. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think if it's an event that is coordinated either by the city or through a permit to an organization, there is at least a process to make a decision about whether the facilities are available. I'm not 100% sure, but that's my recollection.
That makes sense. So anyway, the conversation's larger than just that one event, obviously. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yes, I don't mind sending out an email to the Parks Department myself, just asking if we'll have an update on the timeline of the opening of the bathrooms. I believe the last time we spoke, it was basically they are going to be closed indefinitely until there is some type of change in the budget or operations of the current Parks Department. I don't think they're planning on opening them anytime soon, to be clear. But we can definitely ask for that and advise the city, as I think pretty much everyone here at this point has, potentially been a desire of using the public restrooms while at the parks, myself
Right.
included.
And I'm just curious when that conversation was, because actually the Feaster Park bathrooms were open in the fall. I haven't gone to see if that's changed over the winter, but during the fall they were open. They were open nearly
Was
every
that
time.
when they were working on Feaster Park?
No, it was after it opened, like
Okay.
just a few months ago, and I was surprised. It was actually I was very thankful that
I
they
know,
were
I know.
open. And I thought that was really positive, and I wondered like if something happened,
Yeah.
some conversations happened behind the scenes, but yeah, so it would be nice if something similar would happen.
This might have been in July, right? Was the meeting we spoke about this? We have to go through the minutes. I believe they're available on the
I don't-
site, but
I
I believe
don't
this was
remember,
July
but
we spoke.
Ruth, could I just ask when you observed that, was
I
there
believe
somebody else at the park, meaning school staff or recreation department staff or?
no, I did not
other-
see any staff, and so therefore I was surprised that they were open, but I was
Mhm.
thankful that they were open because there's not an alternative available at that park. Like, there's not a porta
Right.
potty there. So
It may have been a fluke. However, I am, like I said, going to personally reach out to the Parks Department and see if there is a timeline on when and if the bathrooms are going to be open. We can definitely talk at a future meeting about advising the city on opening them after I go through this communication channel first, just to see if it's if they are already planning on opening it and we haven't been made aware yet. Then I will let you know at the next meeting, and if they get back to me. And if they are not planning on opening it, then I think that we can definitely talk at the next meeting or whenever they get back to me about advising them to open the parks for certain hours. And then we can definitely, try to remain transparent with the public, or at least those who attend this meeting, on that. But I don't mind, working on that. I think part of our job is to, improve the parks and gardens in New Brunswick for, everybody in New Brunswick. And if the bathrooms are, something that would really add to improving people's experience in the parks, I think, it's definitely something we can, work on.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
Josh, I think Ruth was leaning towards the fact that if the Parks Department is able to get the facilities open during certain hours, that they publicize that, right? Ruth,
Oh,
that's-
yes, of course.
yeah,
Yes, of
right,
course.
right. So
I have taken some side notes on that,
oh, great.
and I'm going to send out an email. I'll send one out this week, unless anybody, else wants to be involved in the sending the letter. But I'm planning on sending one this week about asking about the bathrooms in
Just
general.
that one. Oh, great.
Okay.
And there you go.
Yeah.
That's the letter.
All right. Look at that. Briar, thank you so much for joining this meeting, because you've definitely brought this back to our attention. And again, I'm going to try to see if I can't get a response from the Parks Department about this before the next meeting. I'm going to try my best, and hopefully I'll either have an answer of when they'll be open, or we can discuss then further advisement on how we may get them open.
Okay, thank you so much.
No, of course. Thank you. That's our job, is to serve the community, and I don't mind at all.
Great.
Do we have any other public comments? Okay. Well, does anybody else on the commission have anything to say before we end our monthly meeting here?
Just quickly, Josh, do you and the Joshes want to hang out after this on this meeting to have a discussion, or do we want to wait until you're able to coordinate a group meeting offline at some other time?
I'm going to be headed to work
There you go.
at the Scarlet Pub
Okay.
in about 20 minutes.
No, that says it all. Don't worry about it then.
So you are welcome to come here and join me. The place will be open. I promise. You are welcome to come and join me and have a
appreciate that.
chat.
On
And
the
at any
house,
time,
right? Something on the house.
I will take care of you. Maybe not on the house, but I don't mind, for
I'm
my own
just-
self doing that.
I'm just
And
kidding. I would never.
we're all friends here.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
with that, I think that concludes the meeting. Anybody else?
Yeah. Hi, Josh. Yeah, I was wondering, well, where are you? And then I'm seeing this exit sign. So you're already at work. You just have to check.
I've been in the building. Yes,
The building.
they had politely asked me to
Josh is in the building.
clean up a few things here earlier today. So I came in a little early because I wanted to make sure I was right here on time for our meeting. And also, it's much quieter in here because it's completely empty.
That's ironic.
It's ironic that this place of all places
Yeah.
is the quietest place. It's probably one of the quietest places in the city
Right now.
right now. In
Yeah,
3
right.
hours, it's a different story.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, good job you've done today.
Yeah, great
Thank you
job.
so much.
Josh.
Yeah,
Really.
good job.
I appreciate
you.
that, and I hope I can serve you guys the best that I can. So,
Terrific.
Fill in the shoes.
Thank you.
all right, everybody. I will be seeing you
Okay.
next time.
All right.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.